pasyanti panti kayanti Yiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jalam Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi
Rajabara Nagara Yashomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Parana Dhanna Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Vipina Purandara Navina Nagara Boro Vamshivadana Suvasa Brajajana Palana Surakula Nashana Nanda Godhana Rako Allah Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Jamuna Tattachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Balava Vrindavana Natabara Bhakti Vinodashaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Premanande Namashrishtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Sarupam Shirupam Sasyagrajam Uruparim Maturim Goshavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasa Pratita Kripaya Shigurum Tamnatosmi. One more time all together. Namashreshtam manum api shachiputram atra swarupam Shirupam tasyagrajam uruparim maturim goshtavatim Radha kundam girivaramaho radhika madhavasham Prapto yasya pratita kripaya shigurum tamnatosmi. He Guru Gyanada Dinabandho Swananda Data Koranaika Sindo Vrindavana Sinahitavata Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara. Translations. Translations. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have attained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachimata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radhakund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. Translation. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. Altogether, I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection of all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and of the Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Bando mui savadana mate. Jahara prashade bhai bhavato Riyajai. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoite. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kuriya Oikya. Anakori ho mani asha. Shri Guru Charane Rati Eshe Uttama Gati. Jai prasade pure sarvasha. Chakudano dilo je janme janme Prabhu she. Divya Gyan Hriday Prokashito. Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Abhija Vinasha Jate. Vede Gai Jahara Charito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu. Lokana lokera jivana Lokana lokera jivana Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deho More Padachaya Ebe Jash Kushuk Tribhuvana Ebe Jash Kushuk Tribhuvana Jash Kushuk Tribhuvana Ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Padachaya Ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Padachaya Ebe Jashku Shek Tribhuvana Ebe Jashku Shikti Bhuvana Ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Padachaya Ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha More Padachaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Shrimate Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Reshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo.
परिव्रताचार्य स्तोत्र सत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON BBD फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगामयी की यमुनामयी की तुलसी महारानी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की ऑल ग्लोरीज असेंबल डिओटी, ऑल ग्लोरीज असेंबल डिओटी, ऑल ग्लोरीज असेंबल डिओटी, ऑल ग्लोरीज ऑल ग्लोरीज ऑल ग्लोरीज श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंगा बोल हरि बोल।
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Janatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Jashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Junatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hari Hari Vipule. You know that one? Okay. Hari Hari Vipule. So the last song we sang is from the spiritual world, and the devotees there are eternally enraptured in service, divine service, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His eternal consort, Srimati Radharani. And they're engaged in various relationships with the Supreme Lord in ever-expanding service and bliss. And all of the surroundings in Vrindavan are stimuli for their ever-increasing love in both meeting and separation from the Lord. And then in the spiritual world, there's dancing and music going on constantly. Sri Uddhava, when he went to Vrindavan and saw the way in which, especially he saw the gopis, he said, Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padurinam Abhikshnashaha Yasam Harikato Gitam Punati Bhuvana Trayam. Even though he didn't offer such praise of the queens in Dwarka, he gave this kind of obeisance and praise to the gopis in Vrindavan, to the dust of their lotus feet, and saying that sound vibration they were creating by singing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead was purifying the three worlds. So this song that Prabhupada introduced, the song of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, is a window into that spiritual world. Those who practice very strict sadhana, especially carefully avoiding the four sinful activities and also finishing without fail their prescribed number of rounds every day will have capacity to taste the sublimity of that song. And just from that one window, they can enter more and more deeply within the mood of the spiritual world. This next song, we'll look at the translation first. So, Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained a human birth and having worshipped, not worshipped, net worshipped? Maybe it's Russian, net worshipped Radha and Krishna, I have knowingly drunk poison. So this is an awareness that the devotees have as they're advancing in devotional service. They feel remorse. Not so much remorse that they become depressed and unable to function. This is more the product of having low self-esteem. But as one realizes what one's actual dharma is, and that is to serve the Supreme Personality of God with ever-increasing dexterity and refinement, then such a devotee feels awkward and also feels that he or she has wasted the human form of life, not just in this life, but for many millions of lives since time immemorial. And it's compared here to knowingly drinking poison. Then he says, the treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. What did my attraction for that chant? Why did that attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns from the fire of the poison of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it. So, even as a devotee advances in chanting the holy names, one of the symptoms of bhava that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions to Sanatana Goswami out of 9 is that as a devotee advances, he or she thinks that I'm more and more fallen. He or she thinks his or herself more and more fallen, even though the person is becoming more qualified. This is known as dainya, or extreme humility. And the third, apparently we're moving on to the third, Lord Krishna, who is the son of the king of Vraja, became the son of Shachi. Lord Chaitanya and Balaram became Nitai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, are evidence of this. So Mother Sachi had a dream. She had Krishna Balaram deities in her house. And then she dreamed that the Krishna Balaram deities came off the altar and they were having an argument with Nitai and Gaur. And Nitai was saying, this is our time now. This is Kali Yuga. He said, all these sweets that are being offered now, these are our sweets. And a fight ensued between Krishna Balaram and Nitai and Gaur. And Mother Sachi was watching this in amazement. And when she came out of her dream, she told her son Nimai about this dream. And he said, your deities are very powerful. So in the appearance of Sri Krishna, he comes with all his expansions, headed by Balaram, who precedes him. And even in the womb of, before he comes to clear the path. And he is the best servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nitai appears to assist Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then the holy name is the deliverer in the age of Kali. This is actually incarnation that delivers everyone. And Lord Nitai and Gaur distribute this in the Kali Yuga age. Number 4, O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottam Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? So it's a constant prayer of the devotees to remain, as Lord Chaitanya prayed, as a atom at the lotus feet of the Lord. And when one's in that attitude, then one feels safe and protected. Simply taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord without any other consideration. I don't have anything, I don't own anything. I'm only the property of the Supreme. As mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion, the devotee considers himself to be like an animal that's sold to another owner. Just like, okay, this is where I am now. I'm under the care of my master. Hari Hari Vipale Janama Goinu. Hari Hari Vipale Janama Goinainu. Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya. Janiya Shuniya Bishakainu. Golokira Premadhana Harinama Sankirtana. Rutina Janmilo Kinita. Shanshara Bishanale Dibanishiya Jwale. Juraite na koi nu upa. Brajendra Nandana Je Shachi Sutta Hoilo Se. Balaram Hoilo Nita. Balaram Hoilo Nita. Dinahina Jatta Chilo Hari Nama Udarilo. Dinahina Jatta Chilo Hari Nama Udarilo. Tara Sakshi Jagai Madhai. Ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta. Corona Coro E Baro. Narottamo Dasa Koi Nata Hilo Rangapoi. Toma Bina Keyache Amara. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Nitai Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai Jaya Gaur. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Shishi Gaur Nitai Ki, Shishi Krishna Balaram Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Shri Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Go Premanande Haribo. Okay, let's have a verse from the Sri Upanishad, somebody, one that we haven't heard for a while. Anybody under 16? Any verse, except for the invocation or the first verse. Or 15. Come on, belt it out. Consult. Not the invocation, not the first verse, and not the 15th verse. That's 15. Can you turn up his mic? Go ahead. There it is.
Agnenaya supatraya asman vishwani deva vayanani vidvan yod yasma juhrana meno bhuyishtam te nama uktim videma.
And tell us what it means.
you're praying to the Lord, you're saying, "Oh my Lord, oh omnipotent one, please, I'm falling down at your feet, at your lotus feet. Please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I've done in the past, since you know all that I've done in the past, please
free me from the reactions of my past sins.
Yeah.
So that there'll be no hindrance to my progress." Very good. One more.
Tadejiti, tadnajiti, tadure, tadvantike, tad antarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasya bhayata.
Means?
The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He's very far, but he is near as well.
Tell us what it means to you.
I guess it shows how we really don't know who the Supreme Lord is, because we don't have enough, our mind isn't advanced enough to recognize him, because for us it sounds contradictory, but for him it's normal.
Very good. I like that. Can we get one more? Now that everything's flowing. Anijadikam manasojavyo. Anyadeva vidyaya. Anyone? Nope. Invocation's out. First verse is out. 15th verse is out. 18th verse is out. Go ahead. Then somebody will help you. But somebody else recite it.
Asurya namate loka, this is a different verse, but Asurya namate loka andena tamasavrita tamste pritya vighajanti yeke chatma hanojana. And it means that the killer of the soul, whoever he may be, and I don't know the rest.
Where do they enter? Darkness in the planets, those worlds of darkness, full of darkness and ignorance. And tell us what it means to you, the verse. Just give some practical meaning. Is it relevant to us in 2018? Is that verse relevant? And if so, how? Just say, yes, it's relevant.
Yes, it's
Be very
relevant.
And here's why.
And here's why.
Because I
actually don't know.
First start with the subject. What's the subject of the verse? Killer of the soul?
The killer of the soul.
What does that mean? Does it actually mean the soul gets killed?
No. It doesn't mean the soul gets killed.
What does it mean? It gets covered more and more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much so they can't remember relationship with God.
Yes.
So how does that happen in modern day society?
I think because in modern day it's because we don't know our actual position, and it happens because we get carried away by material hankerings, where
now you're onto something. Keep going.
Where we get attached, and when we get attached, it's like hard to get detached from it, and we become more greedy because we want more and more, and that builds qualities in us that we do not want to have. So our soul gets covered with ignorance and arrogance.
Anyone else would like to add from the Pandit section over here? Any extra comments?
I don't know the meaning of it.
Of what? That's okay. When we start learning things, sometimes you get it in fragments, but the bolder you are, like if you're learning a language and you just start speaking the language even though you're making big mistakes, everyone will correct you. Fail harder. Right? This is the advertising agency that made the logo for Nike. They're very famous now, and they have a huge sign in their front lobby that says, fail harder. So fail hard. Go ahead. Give us even a fragment.
Saparyagachtukramakayamanam asnaviram shuddhamapapa vidam kavir manishi swayambhu
Paribu Swayambur.
yata tatra toratan vedadak jaswati bhyasamabhya.
Tell us one part of the meaning of that verse, any part that you can remember. Or
I don't
call
know
a
the
friend.
meaning.
Anything? Well, one part of that verse is that the Lord's been fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. In that verse it says, right? And either of you care to comment? The Lord's fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial.
So we desire many things and the Lord fulfills them, but we should know it's the right things to desire so that there will be no hindrance to our progress.
Yeah, very good. And Bhagavatam says, Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whatever set of desires you have now, you should approach the Supreme Lord anyway, because when you do, then He'll purify the desires, just like with Dhruva Maharaj, all the way to almost the last moment when the Lord revealed Himself. His main desire was very materialistic. He wanted to show off to his family that he got over on him. They dissed him, and he came back stronger, like I'll show them, and that's why he was worshiping God. But in the end, his desire changed. But if, as you were saying, we develop acute awareness that Krishna's fulfilling all desires, and He's already fulfilling all my necessities. I don't need to ask Him for anything except for pure service. Then that's a way that we pray devotionally. Very good. So keep memorizing the Sri Upanishad, but be ready, because we have to be able to quote it in relevant ways and relate it to the world. Okay? Say yes. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 2nd chapter. Today's text is number 17. Sa he Vasudev Bibrat carried Paurusham pertaining to the Supreme Person, Dhamma the spiritual effulgence, Brajamana illuminating, Yata as, Ravi the sunshine, Durasada very difficult even to look at, difficult to understand by sensory perception, Ati dur darshaha approachable with great difficulty, Bhutanam of all living entities, Sambhabhuva so he became, Ha positively, Sabibrat Paurusham Tama Brajamano Yatadavihi Durasado Ti Durdarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha Sabhibrat Paurusham Tama Brajamano Yataravihi Durasadoti Durdarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha Chant. Sabibrat Parusham Tama Brajamano Yataravihi Durasadoti Durdarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha.
Sabibhrat Paurusham Dhama
Sabibrat Paurusham Tama
Brajamano Yatha Ravihi
Rajamano Yataravihi
Durasadoti Durdhaso
Durasadoti Durdarsho
Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha
Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha. Sabibrat Paurusham Tama Rajamano Yataravihi Rasadoti Durdarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha. Vaishnavis. Sabibrat Paurusham Tama Rajamano Yataravihi Durdarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha.
Sabibhrat Paurusham Dhama
Sabibrat Paurusham Tama
Brajamano Yatha Ravihi
Rajamano Yataravihi
Durasadoti Durdharsho
Durarsadoti Durdarsho
Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha
Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha.
Sabibrat Paurusham Dhama
Sabibrat Paurusham Tama
Rajamano Yatha Ravihi
Rajamano Yataravihi
Durasadoti Durdarsho
Durarsadoti Durdarsho
Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha.
Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha. Translation. Before, I talked to Srila Radhanath Swami this morning, and he said to thank you for your prayers. He's feeling much better. And he also said how much he appreciated the services that you're all doing. And I gave very specific things that you're all doing. And he also said that he misses you very much. Everybody. Hare Krishna. Translation. While carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable, even for such formidable men as Kamsa, and not only for Kamsa, but for all living entities. Let's say together. While carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable, even for such formidable men as Kamsa, and not only for Kamsa, but for all living entities. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The word Dhamma is significant. Dhamma refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, it is said, Dhamna svena sada nirasta kokam satyam param dhimahi. In the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no influence of material energy. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kokam. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present by his name, form, qualities, or paraphernalia, immediately becomes a Dhamma. For example, we speak of Vrindavana Dham, Dwarka Dham, and Mathura Dham because In these places, the name, fame, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Godhead are always present. Similarly, if one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to do something, the core of his heart becomes a Dhamma, and thus he becomes so extraordinarily powerful, not only his enemies, but also people in general are astonished to observe his activities. Because he is unapproachable, his enemies are simply struck with wonder, as explained here by the words Durasado ti durdarsha. The words Paurusham Dhamma have been explained by various acharyas. Sri Viraraghava Acharya says that these words refer to the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vijayadhwaj says that they signify Vishnu Tejas, and Shukadev says Bhagavat Swarupa. The Vaishnav Toshani says that these words indicate the influence of the Supreme Lord's effulgence, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that they signify the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I'm backing up one verse to 16. Bhagavan api Vishvatma Bhaktanam abhayankara Aviveshamsha bhagina Mana anaka dundube. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Api, also. Vishvatma, the super soul of all living entities. Bhaktanam, of his devotees. Abhayam kara, always killing the causes of fear. Avivesha, entered. Angshabhagena, with all of his potential opulences. Shad Aishvarya Purna. Mana, in the mind. Anakadundube, of Vasudeva. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the super soul of all living entities and who vanquishes all the fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudeva in full opulence. And the next verse says, while carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendentally illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable, even for such formidable men as Kamsa, and not only for Kamsa, but for all living entities. Purport to verse 16. Sorry if this seems confusing, but it's all Bhagavatam. Purport. The word Vishvatma refers to one who is situated in everyone's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridarshe junachishtati. Another meaning of Vishvatma is the only lovable object for everyone. Because of forgetfulness of this object, people are suffering in this material world. But if one fortunately revives his old consciousness of loving Krishna and connects with Vishvatma, one becomes perfect. The Lord is described in the 3rd canto, 3-15, as follows. Paravaresho mahad anksha yukto hyacho pichato bhagavan. Although unborn, the Lord, the Master of everything, appears like a born child by entering the mind of a devotee. The Lord is already there within the mind, and consequently it is not astonishing for him to appear as if born from a devotee's body. The word avivesha signifies that the Lord appeared within the mind of Vasudeva. There was no need for a discharge of semen. That is the opinion of Sripad Sridhar Swami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In the Vaishnav Toshani, Srila Sanatana Goswami says that consciousness was awakened within the mind of Vasudeva. Srila Viraraghava Acharya also says that Vasudeva was one of the demigods and that within his mind the Supreme Personality of God had appeared. as an awakening of consciousness. So Krishna appears in relationship to his devotees and because of his devotees. And in the Gita, he says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He gives the reason why he appears in the world, and that's to uplift the sadhus, the devotees, especially those who are feeling separation from the Lord and living in the material world with the mood of te anukampam susamikshamano. They're always hoping for the mercy of the Lord, and they tolerate any of the ups and downs in the material world, knowing that these are simply reactions created by their involvement with the material world. And Krishna makes arrangements specifically to come and rescue those devotees, as he says in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that he very quickly comes to rescue the devotee from the ocean of birth and death. And the other reason that Krishna comes is to push down the demoniac elements of society. Vinashaya cha duskritam. Those who are duskriti, their intentions and activities are bad. Bad because with whatever facilities they get, they use to go against the Supreme Personality of God, either by creating governments that prevent people from worshiping God, for instance, in some Asian countries, which will go unnamed at this time. There's, for instance, a president who just got elected for life, if you can imagine such a thing. And I mean, we can, because in the good sense, a monarch inherits the throne for life, but such a person is supposed to be a Rajarishi or a devotee. And we'd be happy if that happened and there was no election. But in today's world, where such demoniac persons who hate God and want to impose themselves upon all the others take charge, and then they suppress any worship of God within their realm, and they try to push it away. These are demoniac persons. These kinds of people Krishna describes in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where he tells how there are living entities that have divine natures and those that have demoniac natures. Those that are demoniac, he says, avajananti ma mudha manushim tanamashritam param bhavam ajananto mamaviyam anutamam mama bhuta maheshwaram. So he says that demoniac people deride the personality of God, the very conception that there is a God at all, through scientific presentations or just in the way that they declare God is dead, or they deny the existence of God in many different ways. There are many philosophies. Ironically, it's Krishna who's giving intelligence to such people to come up with the ways and means to ignore God and to spread atheistic ideas all over the world. But these are the kinds of people who Krishna says are demoniac. He also describes in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there are several kinds of people who are specifically considered to be against God. And so Krishna comes to clear the way, take these kinds of people away from the world so that the Dharma can flourish. Because the whole project for the material world is to give living entities a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. So when Krishna comes, he kills many demons, and he also revives his relationships with his pure devotees by speaking Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and all these instructions are memorialized in the Shastra. And he also arranges for wars like the Battle of Kurukshetra, and so that demoniac people can come together all in one place and be annihilated. We know at the very beginning of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that there was an unnecessary burden on the earth because of the development of these huge armies of demoniac people. So Krishna arranged for them all to come together, and he also individually arranged to kill various demons who appeared in Vrindavan and elsewhere, and who were a bad influence on the world. So this is Krishna's prerogative when he comes to the world. But most of all, Krishna is interested in his devotees, in loving exchanges with his devotees. And he mentions this in the Srimad Bhagavatam when Durvasa Muni insults and actually tries to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And then the Sudarshan Chakra begins to chase Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni goes to all of the various rulers of the universe, and they all say, "Don't come in here." And finally, he ends up going to Vaikuntha and meeting with the Lord. And the Lord says that my heart is with the devotees. And they're always in my heart, I'm always in their hearts, and that is my preoccupation, is my devotees. So he said, I can't help you. You have to go back to Ambarish Maharaj, which he did. And Ambarish Maharaj, of course, forgave him, and the Sudarshan Chakra then spared Durvasa Muni's life. But in that section of the Bhagavatam, as well as in other sections, but particularly there, it's expressed how dear the devotees are to Krishna. So when Krishna comes to the world, he's specifically interested in developing loving relationships with his devotees, and he also brings with him devotees from the spiritual world to enact his pastimes so that others can be attracted and see the different kinds of relationships that he has with them. So Krishna, or Bhagavan, is known as Vishvatma, which means that he's already there within the heart of the devotee. Which is interesting because who knows that he's there? Who actually sees that he's within the heart? Anijadikam manaso javyo. Krishna is described in the Upanishads as a person who is greater than everyone. He's the demigods, powerful demigods can't approach him, although in one place he surpasses all those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. And tadejiti tannaijati tad dure tadvantike. He's very far away, but he's very near as well. Means he's there within our hearts all the time, but I can't see him unless I take to the process of a devotional service. And we see here how the Lord appears within the devotee's mind and heart, and then externally manifests himself before the vision of his devotees when he desires to do so. So this is something that Krishna asks us to consider all throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and that is that he's already there within the heart. He says it in many, many different places. So one of the places that is very famous, Prabhupada quotes again and again from the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto matak smitir jnanam apohanam cha. And that is that Krishna says, I'm within every living entity's heart, and for me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Krishna is supplying our intelligence to remember him if we desire to do so. And he also gives us the wherewithal to forget him if we want to do that also. And for the devotees who are worshiping Krishna and remembering him constantly and performing the practice of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna reveals himself within the heart. Where does he say that in the Bhagavad Gita? Like Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Puddha Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayantite. That for somebody who's sincerely trying to reach me, I reciprocate from within his heart, and I give him knowledge by which he can come to me. And the devotees have that relationship. But here we see also that Krishna takes birth from the mind and heart of the devotees. It's not like the birth in the material world, which is a biological process that takes place between a man and a woman, but actually Krishna appears within the pure mind of his devotees. And as we see the appearance of Krishna in the world, he first appeared in the mind of Vasudeva, and then Devaki, and then he transferred himself to the womb of Devaki, and then he apparently appeared from the womb of Devaki, although it's a transcendental birth. As Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. It's transcendental. One has to understand how this takes place, Krishna says, because by knowing that, then one doesn't take birth again here in the material world. If one understands that Krishna is not part of this material world and becomes knowledgeable about how he appears in the world and how his appearance is divine. So from Vishvatma, we remember that Krishna is there within our heart, fulfilling all desires, as we heard the verse, Sapare Gachru Krama Kayamavranam, Shnaviram Shuram Apapavidam, Kavir Manishi Prabhu Swayambur, Yatat Yat Yatotan Viradashasvati Bhyasamabhyaha. He's the primeval philosopher who's there fulfilling the desires of every living entity since a time immemorial. So, in the pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which we're particularly interested in because the devotees who follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are devotees of Lord Krishna, and they want to hear exactly how he appears in this world. And so he has his protocol. We know that at the time when there was a huge burden on the earth due to unnecessary defense forces, Lord Brahma was approached by the various demigods. And then he went with them to the shore of the ocean of milk in this world, in this universe. And he made a prayer. Very specifically, it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that he prayed through the Purusha Sukta. And by reciting the Purusha Sukta and making this prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Krishna reciprocated from within the heart of Brahma. He spoke to him, which is parallel with what it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Teni Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye Hyanti Yatsureya. So the Lord communicates with Brahma, and Brahma then communicates to the demigods what's happening. And Krishna says that I'm going to appear here with all of my associates. So the demigods should also take birth in various places to get ready. This is called Tat Priyartam. It means that the Lord prepares the stage. In fact, Kunti later on, we find when she's offering prayers, she says, Maya Javani Kachanam Ajnad Hoksajamavyam Nalakshase Mudadrisha Nata Natyo Darod Yata. She says, Krishna, you're just like an actor. And you set the stage. And then the screen, the curtains open, and you perform your pastimes in this world. So, Vishvatma, he's there within the heart. And for those who practice bhakti, Krishna appears within their heart. The pastimes actually appear there. Like coming to a theater near you. There's all these, when a big movie comes out, you see it everywhere now. They know how to advertise and make sure you know it's coming on a certain date. So when Krishna appears too, he gives this information to Brahma, and then the advertising crew goes out and says, you know, these various actors will appear, Krishna will make his appearance, and a special theater, these theaters he appears in are called Dhamma, these places that are specifically designated as the embassies here in the material world. They're non-different from the spiritual world, like the Vrajadham. Vrajadham is part of the spiritual world, and even after the annihilation of this world, that original Vrajadham, it never disappears. It only temporarily merges into the spiritual Vrajadham, and when the material world is recreated, it again appears in the material world. So it's never annihilated. It's not like ordinary dirt and water and everything like that. It's transcendental. So Krishna makes his arrangements to let everybody know he'll be appearing in a certain place. But for the devotees who are practicing bhakti anywhere, at any time, the Lord appears in their hearts and shows his pastimes to the devotees. Within their minds and hearts, he's fully available. And they see his pastimes, and they are feeling his, they're receiving his instructions directly. For those who are practicing bhakti in the very beginning, we receive the same kind of impetus by hearing about Krishna. We hear Bhagavad Gita, which is the same as hearing directly from Krishna. This is the magic of having the revealed scriptures. When we hear Bhagavad Gita, it's the direct words of Krishna speaking to us. And when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, it's non-different from witnessing the pastimes of Krishna within our hearts, for those who are ardent hearers. So we know that before Krishna appears, this drama unfolds, and the sons of Devaki are killed by Kamsa one after another. These sons are not ordinary, because they actually were cursed to take a birth and be killed by Kamsa. They're his sons previously, but because of a curse, they then took birth in the womb of Devaki, and he killed them one after another. So Shadagarbha Sura, these special living entities took birth there and then were killed by Kamsa one after another. And then the acharyas bring up the question, how is it then that Krishna could appear in such a place, in the womb of Devaki, that is, that was already inhabited by these other living entities? And so the answer comes as we enter into the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Lord Balaram then appears within that womb. And so Balaram is Krishna's first expansion, and as his first expansion, he's the best servitor of Krishna. So he acts as Krishna's Dham. From Balaram, the entire substance, so to speak, of the spiritual world is manifested. For instance, on the Sringhasana, where we worship the Lord, we see there's some form and shape. This is all Balaram. And when Krishna is sporting various paraphernalia, like he has shoes. Any of you have deities? Do they have shoes? Those are Balaram. And if the deity is wearing, if Krishna is wearing a Brahman's thread, that Brahman's thread is also Balaram. He manifests in that way. Everything in the spiritual world that gives facility means to make something easier for someone. The bed, the shoes, the very ground that the devotees walk on or dance on in Goloka is manifested by Balaram. And Balaram also is the spiritual master. So he does, this is a service that he does as the guru, to cultivate the ground and make everything ready for spiritual life. Just like in a garden, you have to cultivate the ground to make it ready for the garden. So similarly, the guru is one who cultivates the ground, opens up our life so that we're ready to worship Krishna, helps us to remove the obstacles. So Balaram also appears in Krishna's pastimes, and he removes the obstacles. So he comes into the womb of Devaki and then is transferred to the womb of Rohini. That's why he's called Sankarsana. And after he appears within the womb, then it becomes a sanctified dham, a place where Krishna is ready to appear in this world. So, in the atmosphere of Vrindavan, when Krishna and Balaram appear, there's a lot of tension. Where's that tension coming from? Kamsa is a cruel leader, And he's also feared by even the greatest and most powerful demons. And there he's trying to usurp Krishna's power. And he also has a great fear himself of Krishna appearing, and his main intention is to kill Krishna if he appears. So you can imagine from just hearing about ways in which various devotees around the world have gone on to spread the Krishna consciousness movement in various atmospheres, how fearful it can be even to mention Krishna in a certain place. We'll ask Navina Nira to tell us in a few words about what it might have been like in the former Soviet Union for the devotees to first get started there.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, that uncertainty on how a person will respond is prevalent everywhere in the material world. Even when you go up to somebody here and you tell them, Hare Krishna, you don't know what's their response. But the repercussions are different in different places. So in the Soviet Union, people were being persecuted, and the government is so demoniac that they had spies everywhere. In fact, even now in China, when I was there, every building that you enter, on the entrance there is the pictures of the two secret servant or military or police agents who are taking care of this building with their names and their phone numbers. So any suspicious activity has to be reported to them. And people are so much in fear that even neighbors or family members or friends will rat them out. They will give them over to the authorities. So,
you know, rat them out, what that means?
Being a rat.
Yeah, if you turn somebody in, you're called a rat. So they call them, if you give somebody over to the authorities, they call you ratted them out because you're a big rat. Okay, go ahead.
So even the devotees who were practicing in the confines of their own homes, they were never sure who would be knocking on the door or who would be calling or who would be watching them. And they knew that the government was onto them because they're very all-pervasive, so to speak. Just like in China, on every light pole, like you have these light poles on the street which illuminate the street, there's a CCTV. On every light pole in the country, there's a CCTV. So you don't know who is watching you while you're moving, while you're talking, what you're saying. And so they were always in fear, and that fear, in a sense, was making things very difficult. But in another sense also, it was really purifying them and making them intensely take shelter of Krishna. And all these early devotees were very, very deep in their faith and in their dedication, because there was no such thing as a fair-weathered devotee. There was no such thing as a person who just turns up once in a week or once in a year for a festival. Either you're doing this wholeheartedly or you just drop it. So,
you know, when devotees would find people who were interested, they had to very carefully bring them into the group because they didn't know whether they were government agents or not.
And many of them were government agents, and some became devotees. In fact, the chief state persecutor who made huge case against devotees and put many devotees in jail, his son became a devotee. And that broke his heart. That completely finished him off.
Good. Jai. In the mood, thank you so much, Navina Prabhu. So you can imagine in Vrindavan how this mood prevailed. Even when Krishna was born, he had to have his name-giving ceremony in a cowshed because at that time, all children were at risk, but very specifically, Kamsa was looking for Krishna. So they couldn't have a big ceremony. So they had to hide it. And they wanted to keep everything quiet. And there were these agents infiltrating, circling everywhere. And of course, these demons could disguise themselves. For instance, even when Krishna was a baby, somehow or other Putana infiltrated and found out where Krishna was as a little baby, and she was a demoness who disguised herself as a beautiful nursemaid. And she came into the house of Nanda and Yashoda after Krishna had been moved to the Vraj to hide him. And she had smeared deadly poison on her breasts in order to kill Krishna. But of course, Krishna killed her, and she assumed her huge body again, 8 miles long. She crashed to the ground after Krishna killed her. Incidentally, she smashed only the orchards that were especially taken care of for Kamsa. She didn't touch anything else. When Krishna makes arrangements, they're very tidy. We can remember this in our lives also. We may think that there are a lot of loose ends, but for devotees, there are no loose ends. Krishna knows how to make everything work perfectly. If he can make this 8-mile-long demoness crash to the ground and not touch any of the dear residents of Vraj, but only smash the beloved orchards of Kamsa to the ground, then at the same time, when he makes arrangements for us in our life, we can, although we may think otherwise, we should have faith and understand that when things are happening, maybe even things crashing all around us, we should understand that Krishna knows how to make them crash in the right way to help us. So this was going on at the time when Krishna made his appearance in this world. There was great fear and tension everywhere in Vrindavan. Now, the acharyas mention that this fear, especially Devaki and Vasudeva, because apparently it's their child. Of course, Krishna is nobody's child. He is mentioned as Devaki Janmavado. He walks amongst the people. Jananivasa. It means the one who's not related to anyone because he's the source of everyone, but still he walks amongst the people. And he relates to others as relatives, friends, lovers, and so forth. But he's the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Krishna's moving about the people, here, there, and everywhere. And in this mood of fear, there's that Devaki and Vasudeva have, and all the residents who love Krishna and they want to hide him from the treacherous Kamsa. The acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned that this fear burns off their any last vestiges of attachment to the material world. And then they go on to say that the practitioners of bhakti, they also are fearful of living in a material body because we have senses that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita at any time can betray us. We're living with these kind of foreign agents in a sense. The mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy. And our own senses, even as we have the intention to practice Krishna consciousness, can suggest some completely contrary idea at any time. Possible? And it's like, so who said that? And then the sense is, yeah, that's us. We'd like to have one of these. And it's like, well, that's not allowed, So we want it anyway. So the devotee says should always have a sense of this fear when living in the sadhaka's body. Because until one's senses and mind are completely purified, we're living with an enemy. In various poetry, there's a description of the senses to be like highwaymen. In Vrindavan, it used to be more common, I think. I haven't read actual statistics, but I can remember times that, for instance, maybe 25 years ago when I was in Vrindavan, and it was the appearance of Radhakund. Everyone stays up past midnight. And then devotees were driving home on the back road, not a good idea, late at night, but there was a log across the road, and then some guys jumped out with guns. They robbed them, somebody got shot. These are highwaymen. Just when you're least expecting it, you're driving down the road, they have some trap for you, and they'll jump out. And they might even throw you down a blind well and just leave you there. So the senses are like that, say our acharyas, that they're like highwaymen. They can jump out and rob us at any time of our greatest gift, which is our Krishna consciousness. So the devotees also should have this sense of wariness about the senses and about the material world in general, and not interact freely with them, and also not trust the senses. In the 5th canto also it's mentioned that the senses are like wild animals. Sometimes somebody catches a wild animal and brings it home. Says, look, see, he's tame. He likes us. And after a few weeks feeding him, they think he's just like one of the family. And then they just become lax, and they leave the cage open. The next day they come up, the kids are all gone. They've been eaten. House is torn up. Windows broken. Animals gone. So same thing, the senses are like that too. We should not trust them and think that, oh look, they're fine. We have to have a sense of fear. And this metaphor is going on during the appearance of Balaram and Krishna, that Krishna is appearing in our lives as well. He manifests as Vishvatma. He's there within the heart, but he manifests in our life as we transform our environment, including our mind and senses, by engaging it strictly in the process of bhakti. And when we do, then Krishna manifests himself more and more in our lives. Ye yata mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham mamavart manuvartante manusha partasarvasha. Krishna says something so wonderful that I reciprocate with every living entity. I'm not aware of it when my attention is turned elsewhere. I'm only aware of Krishna's external energy. But for the sadhakas who turn their attention towards Krishna, they begin to perceive how Krishna is reciprocating with them in their lives. And we know the more that we surrender, the more Krishna, there's a fruit that Krishna offers us. And therefore the devotees become more and more encouraged to dedicate themselves. I'm turning mine off. That's from China. Did you buy that from China? So we should be aware of Vishvatma, that Krishna is there within our heart, and that his main purpose is to manifest in our life more and more. And we should have a healthy fear of Maya and of the senses. And we should also remember Krishna's words that as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. And give ourselves to the process of bhakti so that more and more Krishna feels free to manifest himself in our lives. This is the true happiness of life. And we should also know that Krishna is completely capable of taking away any of the obstacles that are in our life. So, in the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram, the Lord, the two lords, kill many demons, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur says each one of these demons represents one of the anartas that we have to overcome in our lives. And for instance, Krishna kills Putana. Putana is obviously related to falsehoods, like falsely presenting oneself as a teacher when one has ulterior motives. And then there's also Shakatasura, the cart demon, which was the second demon Krishna killed, or perhaps the third. Maybe the third was Vyomasura. But the Shakatasura demon has to do with the various kinds of extra things that we carry around in our lives that we don't need, that weigh us down. And he goes through each one of the demons and he explains how by hearing about Krishna, by chanting Krishna's names, by remembering him, and by keeping this mood of being afraid of the senses, not just interacting with them freely. We should understand that these are can be our allies, but in the conditional life and the conditional atmosphere that we're in, that they can turn on us at any minute. So we should be very, very careful that Krishna will come and help us annihilate these demons. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says Balaram killed various demons. For instance, Pralambasura. Pralambasura is one of the demons that Balaram personally killed with his own fist. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that to annihilate the anartas, represented by the demons that Balaram killed, we also have to put in our own work. We have to work for those things. And means that we have to be vigilant in our own practice. Help us help him to annihilate these various demons. And now we'll take a few reflections before we move on to the next section. Navina Prabhu and then Mukaravinda.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question. What is the relation between healthy fear and unhealthy fear? Sometimes there's this criticism that, oh, you are mindlessly following, or people are saying it took me many months to get free from this mind control. And then we hear that there is a healthy fear that you were elaborating upon, but there is also unhealthy fear that we can fall prey to or fall into the trap of. So how do they relate in this context?
Well, we do have to control our minds. That's something that Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, because the mind can become the best friend or the worst enemy. And we have to be aware of the fact that unless we regulate the senses in the mind, then they can take advantage of us. And we see in the Shastra, there are very advanced yogis. Vishvamrita, after thousands of years, he was victimized by Menaka because he held something still within his heart. So he just heard her footbills jingle. He didn't even see her yet. And then, he was attracted. There was an idea there within his heart. And then there was Sobari Muni, who had also something in his heart when he saw fish in the water who were copulating. Then he became attracted to Grihastha life. Later on, he rebuked himself for falling into that. Bharat Maharaj is another example of a very advanced personality, a devotee, who then fell from his position. So the Shastras give us these examples so that we don't become overly confident. In fact, it's mentioned that we shouldn't consider ourselves liberated. Prabhupada mentions this. He said, first of all, it's a regulative principle not to fall down. This is a regulative principle, don't fall down. There are various levels at which one can fall down, and so one should be vigilant not to fall victim to distraction to start with, because there's no end to it. Once one becomes distracted by small things, then more and more one's life can become distracted, and people say, oh, don't worry about such and such, it's just normal activity. It's like, oh, what happened to such and such? So if one considers I'm not liberated, then this is a healthy idea. You can see that if somebody interacts with the world cautiously, but not neurotically, that is having normal relationships with devotees, as the Shastra says, in respectful ways, being careful not to criticize devotees unnecessarily, to be in a service mood. This is also being careful. There's etiquette when we deal with different devotees. We shouldn't dispense with it at any time because of some discord that we're having. We should be careful about that. At the same time, the Shastra says it's healthy to keep oneself separate from those who are against God. This is in the verse which says, Ishvare tadadineshu balisheshu tu satsucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. The madhyama devotee, middle devotee, is careful to cultivate appropriate friendships with devotees and to avoid those who are against God. And the acharyas go on to say that if there are devotees also that are of loose character or don't know how to avoid criticizing devotees and so forth, then one should also keep a healthy distance from them also. And so the Shastric injunctions are there, and one has to be artful in doing that. This is an art that has to be learned, how to move in the world without offending others. At the same time, you have to protect yourself from outside influences. And you can see that when devotees are expert at that, you'll notice that they know how to interact properly with all different kinds of people without offending them, but at the same time, they act appropriately. So when the action is appropriate and according to Shastra, then it's healthy. And if it becomes inordinate or overly restrictive so that one can't do one's service, then it could be unhealthy. Yeah, Mukharvin and then Prabhu in the back. And then Shraddha. And then two more over here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for bringing such a, first of all, the song that you sang in the first of Narottam Das Thakur, how you mentioned Goloke, the song mentions that Golokera Premadhana Harinam Sankirtan. So I was just thinking how we are so blessed that we have opportunity in our life and also to give the same, the best, the wealth to others by engaging in Sankirtan, especially book distribution, Harinam or Prasadam distribution. And we can make other people, and first of all our life and others people's life, the same dhan that is from the Golok comes. So that song reminded me of that aspect. And second thing, thank you so much, so nicely you put about why Krishna appears in this world. And you very clearly mentioned it's for devotee and for them only. And in your talk, I think one verse you quoted, and you wanted to quote that from the Durvasa Muni's pastime, in which he says that Sadho hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tuham mad anyat te na janati naham tebhyo managapi.
Translation.
The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of pure devotee. My devotee do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them.
Yes. Thank you. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Very important points to remember where Krishna's heart is. It's within the heart of the devotees. And out of all the different processes of devotional service, if one, even in one's very busy life, in a particular stage, is careful to associate with advanced devotees as much as possible, and also to attend to chanting as much as possible, whether in kirtan or japa. These two things, despite whatever else is going on in one's life, will help us to advance in devotional service. And then it goes back to, who was it? Oh, Prabhu, yes.
Yeah, my question was, how does one distinguish between a devotee whose intentions are sincere and or somebody who's demonic actually and who's masquerading as a devotee, just superficially showing their devotee?
Well, an intention is not something that one can see necessarily. It's not like a car or something like that. But we do feel intentions. We do have a sense that people have intentions, and we feel them. They come out in their speech especially. So the Shastra says, be aware of how somebody speaks and what kind of effect they're having as well. Because sometimes people will say the right things, but they say them in the wrong way. And eventually our intentions come out in the way we associate and the way we work. So we have to be observant And sometimes people's intentions change because living entities are changeable. Because we're so tiny, we can become affected. Living entities, they flip all the time. They think this way, and then all of a sudden they think another way. So it's an active process, and mostly we have to become aware of it by purifying our own intention. Because we become more and more aware of what's pure and what's not pure when we take time to purify ourselves. Fire likes to associate with fire because it's the same element. And in order to approach Krishna, who's like fire, we have to become fire-like. And as an example, if we're experiencing refinement in our own consciousness, we'll be much more aware of other people's intentions. As an example, those who distribute books and become masterful at it, they can meet somebody and within a couple of seconds, they can feel. It's not like, it's like a mystic endowment. They'll notice like where somebody's coming from. It's like if somebody eats garlic and walks into a room of people who eschew garlic. Eschew means to reject. To shun, so not to chew it, but to eschew. So somebody who chews garlic comes into a room of people who eschew garlic. We can be sitting in a room and everyone will turn and look like, "Hey, you've been eating garlic." It's like, I can't see it, but I know it's there. I know you ate it because it's coming out of every pore of your body. So intention becomes aware. We become aware of people's intentions when we ourselves purify our intentions. We'll notice it more in other people. So this is coming from Krishna. He gives us the intelligence. This is one of the meanings of Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Dadami Bhuti Yogam Tam. He gives Bhuti, how to come to him. Part of that is who to go to. After all, how does one find a guru in the first place? It's by Krishna's mercy. He, Krishna, understands the intention in the heart of the living entity who says, I need help, and I'm willing to surrender to get it. And then Krishna says, okay, here's a representative, somebody who represents me because they've gone through the same process, they're following the Shastra, or they've been sent from the spiritual world, either one. And then Krishna gives the intelligence. It's an internal process. So this is one of the ways in which Vishvatma, who's being spoken about here, empowers us to understand what are the intentions of others. And I've seen it. I have a godbrother who's a very perceptive, and I spent some time with him, and we'd meet somebody and we'd walk away and he'd know exactly, he'd be able to understand, where the person, what was their intention, basically. I would have to say that 99% of the time he was correct. So we can become perceptive like that. So start with your own intentions, purify them, be aware of what your intentions are, and when they become purified, you'll become very much more aware of what other people's intentions are. Even when they speak, we'll understand also, listening very carefully to speech. Yes. Oh, and you had internet. Okay, go ahead, internet. Oh, you have, okay. You're next.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was really thinking about the analogy that you gave about even the senses, even when they seem harmless. You're comparing that to a wild animal that's tamed, that seemed like tamed. You let it in, and after some time you open the cage and it destroys and runs away. So similarly, senses, I like that analogy. And extending that analogy, I was thinking when the wild animal comes back and you put that in cage, and after some time it behaves as if it's tamed, and then somehow stupidly we open the cage again and it ruins our lives again. So we keep seeing that the senses, when not in control, they keep troubling us, and we have that feeling of remorse. again and again and again. And I really liked how submitting ourselves to Krishna will actually help.
Yeah. Remember, we're in a dangerous atmosphere and anything can happen. Shastra gives warnings. Matra swasva tu hitrava naviviktasano bhavet balavan indriyagramo vidvamsam apikarshati. So it says, one should not sit on the same seat with one's mother, sister, daughter. And then someone says, that's crazy, because it says the senses can become attracted. That is for a man to sit on the same seat. So it gives this very strict idea about mixing between men and women, because then someone might say then that, well, that's for a very low-class person. But then the Bhagavatam says, no, vidvamsam, a vidvam, somebody who's very refined, high class, apikarshati, even that person can become attracted. Why? Balavan indriya gramo. The senses are so strong that they can grab us and pull us away at any minute. Krishna says a similar thing in Bhagavad Gita, that even a person of discrimination can be grabbed at any time by the senses and pulled in a different direction. So what the acharyas are saying in the mood, in the atmosphere of Vrindavan, that kind of fear that's there, and when Krishna is appearing, they're relating that to the sadhakas, and they're saying that you should also have some modicum of fear, not debilitating fear, not where you become neurotic, but where you're mindful that at any moment, if you leave the door open. And Prabhupada, had a little kitchen up in his room in Los Angeles. It's in a closet, and a very simple thing. So Shruti Kirti Prabhu was explaining why Prabhupada had a kitchen in his closet. And because he had so many servants. And then they'd go in the kitchen, and the men and women are working together in the kitchen, and then his servant that he just spent a lot of time training up would come back a month or two later and say, Prabhupada, I got to go. And it's like, where are you going? It's like, I'm getting married, bye, And I was like, what happened? They mixed in the kitchen. So I was like, a couple... like, me? Yeah, you. I was like, oh my God, I got to go. So these things are not to be underestimated, says the Shastra. You have to be careful. Not that you become antisocial, not that you become, the enemy of the opposite sex or, of every karmi in the world. But you have to internally have a sense of awareness, which resembles fear, that if I leave the cage open, I'm not qualified. One should feel like that. I'm not liberated, therefore I have to be careful how I mix with the material world. Otherwise, as the Shastra says, the spiritual life is like the blade of a razor, the sharpened blade of a razor. And if you're inattentive, not careful, then at any minute there can be bloodshed. So this is being taught to us by the scripture, and especially in a culture where anything goes. One has to be aware of this and careful. Thank you. Shraddha.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. Actually, when you picked up the verse today, I was just wondering, why did you pick that particular verse? Because it appeared very simple on the face of it. And then, you dug deep into the ocean of Srimad Bhagavatam and brought out so many gems. So thank you for doing that.
Well, I've been thinking about the appearance of Balaram, because Balaram comes and then Krishna comes, and Balaram's coming pretty soon too. And so and also simultaneously, I just finished the 9th canto, and I just, started getting into the 10th canto, and so I just happened to be in that section. That's why.
Thank you for that. So 2 things, Maharaj, that stuck my mind. One was that you were saying that when things are crashing around you, just keep in mind that Krishna is doing it and he knows how to make things crash. And you told the story about how Putana fell and only crashed the orchards. So my sister-in-law has some orchards, down south. And she was saying, like, when the tornadoes come, it happens sometimes that, your patch will be saved, but the one on the left and one on the right are completely gone. So you can see Krishna's, hand working there. And the second thing was about the senses, of course. So I was listening to one of the classes that Karvinda Prabhu gave. And so he, once when coming out of the Caltrain, he saw there was some commotion on the station. Something had happened, so suddenly 2 ambulances pulled up and the police came and there were sirens and things like that. And what he got from there was, he said that, when you have material desires and your senses are carrying you away, this is how you should act on them, with full force, with, all the ammunitions, and then there's curb it over there. And then.
So that you saw ambulances?
The fire brigade.
What happened?
Yeah.
Fire brigade,
fire brigade, ambulance, police. So he
putting
saw
out a fire.
You know how somebody calls 911 and all of them arrive there. So
Right.
something like that had happened. So he was just witnessing that, and he was saying, when your material desires come up, this is how you should attack them. From all possible angles. Fire brigade comes and
Call the
ambulance
police.
comes. Call the police.
Call 911. What do you need? Well, here's what it is. Do you have a Bhagavad Gita handy? Yeah, we need a 911 line, especially, it's mentioned Kuya Makyati Prichati. We should have a special line where we can call out to devotees. We should have that kind of open thing. It's a very brilliant observation Chaitanya Charan made about how it is an advanced devotee could fall victim to the senses. So he says, devotee becomes advanced, definitely advanced. And then people start appreciating, seeing advanced, and reinforce that by appreciating. And then the person has this desire to protect that image, not necessarily out of false ego even, but even out of a sense that he doesn't want to disappoint anyone. So let's say that there is some fire that comes up. Anartha can come up at any time, from anywhere. The Bhagavatam says, Supadamulam bhajata priyasya taktanya bhavasya hare priyashaha, is mentioning how from here, there, or anywhere it can just come up because of our involvement in the material world. So then, if that person doesn't have a peer or an outlet, a person to talk to, guya makyati prichati, where he can say, okay, here I'm having this problem. Then he has to process it without any help. And that's dangerous. So one should have a 911 line, someone to call where they feel they can be vulnerable and say, and still maintain their sense of a self, not be demoralized or exposed or something like that, so they can deal with it. So there's a very important point that Rupa Goswami makes about association with devotees, that you have to have that in order to process all these kinds of things. Yes, there was one more, or two. Who's got the mic? Okay, you got it. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead. Ty goes to the runner.
I really love the point of, we being in this, gross body and a subtle body. We have to be so careful. The choices that we make. I was just remembering when I don't know too much computers, but when I first learned computers, they used to make us draw flow charts. So I was just thinking, in the flow chart diagram, every choice you make is the choice that takes you up or down. So if my mind says, oh, you know what, it's okay, just do this, which is not even Krishna conscious, then I say yes, and then I go down. If I say no, I start going up. But my question is, in the process of all these years, there are times when I'm in association of devotees, just doing very good sadhana and everything. And then all of a sudden, without even noticing or knowing, suddenly you would have done things that are actually not supposed to be done. And then you suddenly wake up after, it's literally the dream state that you would have gone to. And after 4 days, like, what was I trying to accomplish with this? It could be because of lust, greed, anger, pride, anything. So I was just thinking that how do we make sure we always have the arrow going up and try our best never to make these mistakes over and over again. I just remember the analogy of the elephant that has a bath and keeps putting mud on itself.
Well, it's not exactly like that for devotees. That particular example of putting mud on one's back, like the elephant does, that is given there, it's especially meant for karma kandis. They perform sinful activities and then they use prayashchitta to reform themselves, but the desire is still there within the heart. And therefore, they become recontaminated again by force of their own desire. Devotees, however, are described a little differently. For instance, as we've quoted many times, the Jata Shraddha Matkatasu Nirvina Sarvakarmasu Veda Dukatmakam Kamams Prityage Pyanishvara. Next line. Tato bhajetamam prita shradalur dridanishchaya jushamanams tatankamams duko darkams tagaryam. This is Krishna himself speaking and saying the devotee may, in an interim period, be disgusted with the material world, knows that all sense gratification leads to misery, but at the same time doesn't have the power to not engage in it. Parityagya Kanishvara. Ishvara means supreme controller, also means the power to do something. So Parityagya doesn't have the power to give up sense gratification, even though it has full awareness that it's not good. Then, next line. Tato bhajeta. She go on worshipping, he says. Tato bhajeta mam prita ashradhalur jurdanishchaya. You should be firm in your determination and faith, continue. Jushamanams means continue, go on. Jushamanams tatang kamams. Duko darkams tagaryan. You should have a little bit of garyan, a little bit of remorse, but don't become overwhelmed by that so that you don't engage in devotional service. So there is an interim period for devotees where they know what to do, they know what's the right thing to do, but they can't do it. Prabhupada also mentions in the light of the Bhagavat that there's a way in which we may make mistakes while we're performing our devotional practice. And he said these may not be detrimental. They may be the pillars to success if one is sincere. For instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, api chet sudaracharo bhajate mamananya bhak. Sadhureva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisa. Krishna says, if somebody is rightly situated, means they have decided they're going to surrender to Krishna, but still they mess up. Sudaracharo. They do something that's worldly minded. He said still they have to be considered saintly. Why? Shri Pram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashvashantim Nagachati Konteya Pratijanihi Nami Bhakti Pranashiti. Because somebody situated with that determination will definitely become successful by Krishna's mercy. In the purport, as you know well, Prabhupada writes that your heart has to be in the right place. These things happen. Now, Kali Yuga is here. And in his commentary to the very famous verse about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which starts, Dhyayam sada paribhavagnam abhishtadoham tirtasparam shiva vrinchi nutam sharanyam vrityartiham pranatapala pavabdipotam vande mahapurushate charanara. This verse says that Lord Chaitanya, the Mahapurush, is fit to be meditated upon. Dhyayam sada, when? Always. Paribhavagnam abhishtadoham. He will free you from all the embarrassments of life. Embarrassment means being dragged down into sense gratification. Even though you're a soul, you're part of the spiritual world. What the heck are you doing here? And he'll fulfill your heart's desire. Abhishtadoham. Tirtaspadam. He goes on from there to speak. Now in the purport, a very important section you'll find in the middle of this purport. It's mentioned in this verse. In this regard, Srila Vishnu, well, I'll read the previous. It says, In this verse, the word tirtaspadam means that the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the shelter of all holy places. As the Krishna consciousness movement spreads all over the world, we often find, especially in poor third world countries, that it's very difficult for people to travel to India to visit the most exalted holy places, such as Vrindavan and Mayapur. Especially in South America, it is very difficult for a large number of devotees to visit such places in India and purify themselves. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so merciful that simply by worshipping him, Vaishnavas throughout the world receive the benefit of having visited the supreme holy place, namely the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, there is no loss for the followers of the Krishna consciousness movement despite their external situation. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated, Kalau dravya desha kriyari janitam durvaram upavritriyam api nashankaniyam iti bhavaha. In this age, the world is so polluted by sinful life that it is very difficult to become free from all the symptoms of Kali Yuga. Still, one who is faithfully serving the missionary work of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu need not fear occasional unavoidable symptoms of Kali Yuga. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strictly follow the four regulative principles of no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, and no gambling. They try to always chant Hare Krishna and engage in the service of the Lord. However, it may happen that by accident an occasional symptom of Kali Yuga, such as envy, anger, lust, greed, etc., may momentarily appear in the life of a devotee. But if such a devotee is actually surrendered to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy such an unwanted symptom or anartha will quickly disappear. Therefore, a sincere follower of the Lord should never be discouraged in the execution of his prescribed duty, but should be confident that he will be protected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tirtasparam Shiva Varinchi Nutam Sharanyam Brityartiham Pranatapala Papapti Potam. So, you know, it's a hard time, Kali Yuga. This is from 11.5.33, the famous verse that written by Karabhajana Muni about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You'll find many such pieces of advice throughout the Shastra, not the least of which is this other verse, which I already quoted. Swapada mulam bhajata priyasya tyaktanya bhavasya hare priyeshaha vikarma yach chot patitam. Somehow or other somebody falls into vikarma, but he's a devotee. Krishna knows, because he's there within the heart. He knows the intention of the devotee and he rectifies the devotee. And so things happen. So suck it up and keep going. What else? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you for a nice class. So I've just changed my question. There's so many questions, so I'll just pick
She
this
took
one.
your question?
Well, no, not quite. So the idea of the discussion of fear was
Yes.
one of the first questions I had, and I think it seems like in the responses we can address fear either through a way of avoiding, perhaps not associating with people who do not believe in God and so forth that you mentioned, and the other is to have a lot of discipline and some level of high level of determination to be on the path. So those are great. And then you just pointed out that every day there is something every moment we can be having to fight that, because this is the material world in Maya. So we're in that every moment, in the time space. We're often there, and especially if we work or have to associate with so many people, it's kind of like a full-on battle. It's coming at us in a very powerful way, right? So one has to be extremely strong, extremely disciplined, and have very good discernment of when to engage and when not to. So I was thinking that, and I think you started to talk about this in the verse, that at some point you have to have a practice which allows you to suddenly disengage from that and take the higher road instead of being succumbed by it. And I think this verse that you're talking about is being at the feet of Mahaprabhu and having that in the Vishata that this chapter is about, having in the heart and allowing that to take over versus the self-control, right? So allowing our own. So is that what you're moving towards? I don't know.
Yes. Well, so actually, you mentioned this battle that's going on. That's true, and it's described as a battle constantly and so forth. But we don't notice it so much, do we? Because we've fortified ourselves. And in Govardhan, where we stay every year, there's this what devotees sometimes calls a palace, because it was this king had there's a lot of kings in India. So this king had this so-called palace built. It's actually a fairly simple dwelling, but it has really thick walls. It does have turrets where you could, shoot at enemies if you wanted. But there's a bhajan kutir on top also. And there's rooms for the king and queen, separate places, and some of the servants and stuff. The place was in a ruin, and then it was rebuilt by Keshava Bharati Maharaj and a Sikh Krishna, who stayed there without electricity at Govardhan for several years to build it back. Now, recently, I started calling it a fortress, because I like that word better. People say, oh, you're going to the palace? And it's like, we're not living in a palace. We sleep on the floor, But, and all we do is hear and chant all day and eat khichdi, so it's not a palace. Get over it. What it is, though, is a fortress. Why is it a fortress? Because we lock ourselves in there. That's why we go there. And we hear and chant all day long, from morning till night, till the minute we fall asleep. And that's the fortress. And all of you do that. Everyone, we have this system given to us by Prabhupada, no matter whether you live in Govardhan or you live in Cupertino. That our lives are fortressed by the process of devotional service we've been taught. We take the 4 regulative principles, as a normal part of our life. In fact, I heard Prabhupada recently, somebody was asking about fasting. Prabhupada said, you're already fasting. We don't eat anything that people eat. It's like, when you go somewhere, someone says, what do you eat? It's like, you don't eat anything, right? For them, our lifestyle is so different. We're in a fortress already. We wake up, we chant our rounds, because we couldn't imagine going a day without chanting our rounds. And so we already fortify our lives in such a way that we feel protected. This is the meaning of ashrama, one of the meanings, that we fortress ourselves so that we don't get attacked. We do it ahead of time. And we also hear and chant. So when we do go interact with people, which we have to do all the time, like normal human beings, better than normal human beings, because people are looking like, how do these so-called spiritual people act? They're thinking. And when you act with refinement and with grace and with aplomb and panache, or whatever other word you want to use, when you're dealing with other people, then, not aplomb, panache, sorry, that there's a way in which, they appreciate. This is people with spiritual values who are practicing, they have dexterity in dealing with other people. And so we do fortify ourselves. And so it's not that we have to freak out at every minute that somebody's going to come at us, because we actually feel safe. We feel safe because we trust the process. And if you stick to the process, don't go outside that line, like Lakshman, or was it Ram or Lakshman? Lakshman put the line out there and said, don't go past this, We have that also. And if you just don't do anything crazy, and, it's like, well, I'll walk outside the line anyway. That line, we have to have clearly in our heart, what is it? And that is that if I don't chant my rounds, then I'm going to start thinking about, who knows what. Instead of selling Bhagavad Gita, I might think somebody will offer me opportunities. Like, we have soap on a rope. You can sell soap on a rope. And you're like, soap on a rope? Nobody ever thought of that before. Let's get soap on a rope. And you'll start selling that. And do any old thing and eat anything. So, how about eating this? Do you want to eat this? And like, Yeah, maybe I should. That's what happens to living entities. They get stupid really fast if they don't chant Hare Krishna. So you have to fortify yourself. And devotees who live within that circle, they feel safe because they know the process is Krishna, and Krishna will protect me. Even if I go outside and I'm dealing with people, I have to do business. And the Bhagavatam says when you interact, you have to. You work, you have to be out there. So how do you interact? People say this, that, and you say, yes, sir, very good, sir. But in your heart, you're going, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And so this is how we go through our life. Not in a crazy way. You don't have to close yourself in and lock all the doors. We move around, but we're locked up here because our heart is dedicated to the process. Yes. 1, 2.
So Maharaj, when the mind is giving you trouble and taking you down all the paths, I was thinking about the story that you told about one, I don't know whether he was a god brother, but one devotee who spent his whole time in Vrindavan, and when the time came for him to leave, he wanted to board the plane and come to USA.
Actually, he was in New York, and he had sort of fallen away from the process, and then he got a terminal illness, and he was in the hospital watching TV. And so one of his godbrothers and friends came in there and said, snap out of it. It was one of those Vidura Dhritarashtra minutes. And it's like, here's your ticket, get on the plane. He brought him to Vrindavan. And then as the disease got worse, he was we didn't have a hospice back then, but he was in some place. And, he was slightly delirious, but, they found him walking down the road, like, where are you going? It's like, I got to go back to New York. Anyway, just illustrating. And go ahead with your point.
My point was that when your mind is giving you trouble, nothing to beat the association of a devotee.
Yes.
Because he actually stopped him.
That's true. Yeah. We take shelter of devotees on all sides. Yeah.
There's a reflection.
Even if we forget, and they'll help us. Yeah.
And there's a reflection
Please.
On the internet. So this is Govind Charan Prabhu.
Govinda Charan. The heavyweights are signing in now. Okay, go ahead.
I really like the point about living in a state of healthy fear. This fear is not the same fear of being averse from Krishna that's spoken of in the 11th canto, Bhayam Ditya Abhivineta Syat. Rather, this is the fear of our forgetfulness of the consequences of not taking shelter of Krishna due to distraction. The benefit of such healthy fear is that we come closer to Krishna. Thank you for the nice class.
Yeah, nice point. This theme is interesting to talk about and helpful. That refinement I'm talking about, you'll notice it in advanced devotees that they know which buttons not to push. Just like if you get on your computer, you have to use a computer nowadays to communicate, but you also have to be aware of the environment there, because you could push the wrong button. And your reputation could be ruined, or your mind could be totally distracted. So there's so many things, buttons that you can push. And if you just push one button, then somehow, because the algorithms are all spinning, they all remember what you pushed. You just push it. I only pushed it for a second, and like, next thing you know, it's following you for the rest of your life, and it's there in the deep web. Anyone wants to look, it's like, wow, look at that. So similarly, that's our existence in the material world. Any buttons we push, they come back to us, and it's for a reason. It's for our refinement. Devotees come to this awareness that this place is booby-trapped. Be careful whatever kinds of things that you engage with, because it's going to come. It has a consequence. Main thing is consequences. Think about the word consequence, sequence. Sequence means one thing follows another. Consequence means I do this, and here's what's going to happen. It's an algorithm. The material world, prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sar. It's a machine, Krishna says. So watch out. And Prahlad says, don't get your finger stuck in the machine. In fact, he talks about his own fear. He says, yes, I'm a devotee, but I'm afraid of Vishnu Maya. He says it's like a big grinding wheel machine. And you stick your finger back in and you go, let me just try it one more time. And next thing you know, your finger goes in, your hand, you get ground up again in the material world. Consequence. So devotees become very aware, what are the consequences? So they keep their minds focused on topics that are conducive, and they're careful which buttons they push. Yes?
Thank you very much for the very nice class. I was just thinking about the point that you made.
Thank you for opening Muir Woods to the world.
It was you.
I told Maharaj this morning, he's very pleased with you, by the way. Just so you know. Hare Krishna.
It was you and Maharaj who opened it up. We're just following.
Prabhupada opened it up. He walked there. Shyamasundar would take him there. Prabhupada would walk through Muir Woods. So this is, anyway, it's a portal.
So I was just appreciating the point that you made initially about that how Krishna makes everything look tidy. Although initially it may not be visible to us, but he makes it look tidy. And another point about which you were mentioning about how the senses are like the highwaymen robbers.
Yes.
So I was just, I had a question with respect to that. In the 5th canto, in one of the purports, Prabhupada mentions that the best way to deal with the mind is to neglect it. Can you elaborate a little more about that?
Yes, tender, loving neglect. Is just the way I'm used to neglecting important work. I know I'm supposed to, answer an email or whatever, but my mind is expert at neglecting. It's like, what do I do? Something else, anything but that. So just transfer that same energy, put it in a bottle, and bring it over and apply it to when the senses come calling. It's like Haridas Thakur showed the way. A prostitute showed up. He's doing his sadhana. And the prostitute's there said, "Hi, by the way." And he said, "Sure, no problem. Be right with you." But he neglected her. He kept chanting his japa. And so, 3 days later, by hanging out there, she became a devotee. So 3 days later, urges come and they advertise. They have a little sign that says, "I'll be here forever." But they never stay around. They can't handle it when you don't pay attention to them. You have to not pay attention to them. Don't give them energy. We had this guru, Satyadev Prabhu and I, special guru we had in our lives. As in the early days when we go to Japan together. And we had to travel from Osaka to Takayama, which is way up in the mountains, about a 5-hour drive. And every time a Baicharan would pick us up, and Krishna Priya, they had this son who was just a little kid, and he was the most annoying kid we've ever met. And so we had to ride in the van with him. And he used to we'd be trying to hear him chant in the van, and he'd be trying to interrupt us and tease us. And then, after three years in a row, then we had this revelation about how if you don't give him any energy, he starts to get bored and look somewhere else, somebody else to annoy. And so we changed his name. We called him Guruji, because he was teaching us this valuable lesson of neglect. And when these things come up in our life, don't give them so much energy. Turn your attention to your service and say, I know you're there, but I'm busy. Be busy. Make sure you got a valid excuse. Otherwise, says, "You're not busy. I've seen you hanging out, so why not this too?" So keep yourself busy. Make sure that when you wake up, you hit the ground running and you keep going throughout the day. And if you're going to neglect them, make sure you lock the cage too, because otherwise they'll get out. That unlocking of the cage, that metaphor is really, in our heart we say, "Oh, it's not that bad. It's okay." And if devotees are not devoid of sense gratification. It's that we're not jnanis. We don't reject the world. We transfer the same energy that we're using in the material world to Krishna, to Krishna's devotees. Devotees have fun. They have social life. So we should make sure that we have all those things, that we're connected with devotees in a fun way. You have to, have a place. Hare Krishna. We'd like to welcome Bhima Karma Prabhu again back to ISV. I have to say, he grew up in the Krishna consciousness movement. He has such a wonderful attitude about life. I really appreciate. I'm getting to know him better, so we feel very blessed he's here. And he's got a deep love for kirtan, and has learned in a very proper traditional Vaishnava way how to bring the kirtan out so that it pleases Krishna in the best way. So today he's going to be giving seminars here for kids and also for adults, for everybody. And we're very appreciative that you came here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Please make this your home away from home. So finally, we have the appearance of Balaram and Lord Krishna coming up. This is our great fortune that in the purport today, Prabhupada mentioned that people don't have a proper object of worship. They don't have a place to actually put their minds where they'll feel satisfied. And they're looking over and over again for the various objects that they can look at. And nothing satisfies them. There's no TV show, there's no movie, there's no object you can buy that will satisfy you. But if you think about, hear about, and remember Krishna and Balaram and how they appeared, go into the details of how and why they appeared. Bhagavatam, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. That will satisfy the mind and the heart. And that's legal sense gratification. That's real sense gratification. Become enchanted with the way in which Krishna easily killed these various wizards who came into his life. Be enchanted by the way Krishna plays with his friends, and how when Balaram smashes the head of Pralambasura, a profuse amount of blood comes out. That should satisfy the need for seeing horrible things, like people along the freeway, they want to stop. If they see a little fender bender, what to speak of somebody got really smashed up. Everyone's like, whoa, that there's a desire in the heart to see stuff. We're not Gyanis. We can't detach ourselves from the world. Try driving down the road if there's an accident on the right side and not looking. You can't do it. It's impossible. You can't just drive by, and if you do, all the way home you'll be thinking, darn, I should have looked. Because that's our nature. We want this. And it's only available in a way that's satisfying and actually nourishing through Krishna's pastimes in the Bhagavatam. So that's why when Balaram's appearance day comes, when Krishna's appearance day, the devotees are jumping for joy because we're saved. We have a place to invest our love, our energy, our attention, to remember details. And all these things, actually, Krishna says, just by remembering them, your heart becomes purified. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna, Sutta Goswami. Punya Shravana Kirtana. In and of itself, it's pious. So here's where to put all your attention so that when other paltry desires come up, then you have the wherewithal to neglect them. And just say, you wait later, some other time, some other lifetime. And then you sneak out the door. When you leave this world, and he goes, like, you guys just stay there, I'm out of here for good. No more to do with you. So that's our great benediction, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and hearing the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram, and having kirtan constantly to glorify the Lord and his names and so forth. Then we'll feel satisfied, and at the end of this life, by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, no matter what other little just so-called discrepancies are there, He'll take us home back to Godhead. Gaur Premanande Haribo. And now, because we already had a Guru Puja early, so that we can go right into Prasadam, then we can have be on time for Bhima Karma Prabhu for his seminars, which start at 11 o'clock. So just now, we're going to put away the asanas, and then prasadam's ready? The prasadam's ready, but we need the strongest members of our congregation to go carry the prasadam. Sharira Vijjaja Jodendriya Taheka Jibe Bele Vishaya Shagore Dharma Dedi Boyati Lobu Muisu Dhurmati Taki Jeta Katita Samsare Krishna Bodha Doyamo Kori Bare Jihvaja Shaprasadana Diloba Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunaga Premedako Shri Chaitanya Dita Baire Kadina Shanti Pure Prabhu Adhe Tera Ghare Dui Prabhu Bojani Boshila Shakori Ashwadamna Prabhu Bole Bhakta Gana Esha Krishna Ashwadhila Heno Shakashwadane Krishna Prema Oishe Mane Se Preme Koro Aswada Jada Buddhi Parihari Prasada Bhojana Kori Hari Hari Bolo Sarv. Next. Baire Sachirangani Kabhu Madhavendra Puri Prabhu Rasadana Korena Bhojan Kaite Kaite Tara Ailo Prema Sudurba Sanyasiragan Moksha Ganta Pulabari Dali Dalna Chachari Shachi Mata Koi Lorandan Tara Shura Bhakti Hari Bojana Kori Lohari Shura Samayanam Vyanjan Jogi Jogi Pai Jaha Bhoge Ajha Betaha Hari Boli Kao Sabe Bai Krishnera Prasadana Shri Jagat Kori Danya Tripurari Nache Jahapai Tripurari Nache Jahapai Mahaprasade Govinde Rama Brahmani Vaishnave Sopa Punya Vadhan Rajan Vishwasona Vijayat Prasade Sarvadukanam Hani Rasyo Pajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Buddhi Paya Vatishtate Tvayo pabukta sraganda vasulankara charchitaha uchishta bojino dasyas tava mayam jayemahi go premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Please come take prasadam. Go Premanande. Vanchakalpadrubhascha kripasinnabevacha patitanam bhavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you everyone for coming to the live studios here at ISV. And for everyone who joined us online, please turn towards one of the cameras and say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Haribol.